Welcome to Session 5 of our study on the Second Book of Esdras. We will read and discuss chapters 10, 11, and 12 in this session. In these chapters, Ezra will have visions, and at times the angel Uriel will provide interpretations for those visions. Visions, like signs, are a part of the standard apocalyptic narrative we find in ancient literature. We're also going to talk about the histories found in the Apocrypha in a couple of minutes. The perspective of religious histories found in the Bible are perhaps a little different than those written by modern-day historians, but there was still a serious attempt to describe events as they actually happened in these Apocrypha histories. But before we get to that, we begin with a prayer. O God, our Father, open our eyes and enlighten our minds as we study your word. So grant that our minds may know your truth and our hearts may feel your love, and then confirm and strengthen our wills that we may go out to live what we have learned. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Three of the books in the Apocrypha are considered to be histories: First Maccabees, Second Maccabees, and First Esdras. First Esdras provides a summary of Second Chronicles 35 and 36, and the books of Ezra and Nehemiah, with a few modifications. First and Second Maccabees both tell the story of Israel's persecution by the Seleucid king Antiochus IV Epiphanes in the first half of the 2nd century BCE. First Esdras is found in the Eastern Orthodox canons, but not in the Roman Catholic one. It is also found in the appendix of the Latin Vulgate. As we have said before in the study, Esdras is the Greek form of the Hebrew name Ezra. Ezra lived in the 5th or 4th century before the Common Era, or BCE, and played a leading role in establishing the Jerusalem community of his time. Tradition came to regard him as the second founder of Judaism after Moses. First Esdras covers the historical period from the late 7th century BC to the early 4th century, or from the reign of King Josiah of Judea to the time of Ezra. It bears a close relationship to Second Chronicles 35 and 36, the book of Ezra, and part of the book of Nehemiah. So it tells the story of the exile to Babylon, the return from exile, the rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem. The book ends with Ezra reading the book of law, perhaps for the first time, to the Jews who have returned to Judah. This may have been the first public reading of the Torah, or perhaps the book of Deuteronomy. First and Second Maccabees are both included in the canon of both the Roman Catholic and the Eastern Orthodox churches. Both of these books tell the story of the Maccabean War, but with slightly different perspectives. The Maccabean War, or the Maccabean Revolt, was a Jewish rebellion led by Judas Maccabeus and his brothers against the Seleucid Empire and Hellenistic influence on Jewish life. The Seleucid king Antiochus IV Epiphanes, the grandson of Antiochus III, launched a campaign of repression against the Jewish region in 168 BCE. They vandalized the temple in Jerusalem, which triggered the revolt. The war lasted until 160 BCE, but the Jews continued to resist until 132 BCE, when the Maccabees finally attained independence. They maintained their independence until the Romans took control of Palestine in the mid-60s BCE. But with that, we move on to the second book of Esdras. Chapter 9 ends with Ezra in the middle of the field of flowers, where he had a vision of a woman who seemed to be in pain or in misery. She had told him the story of how she had been barren for 30 years before her son was born. We were told that she had been able to arrange a marriage for her son, and that is where the chapter 9 ends. So we go on to chapter 10. The woman in distress continues her story as we read verses 1 through 4. But it happened that when my son entered his wedding chamber, he fell down and died. So all of us put on our lamps, and all my neighbors attempted to console me. I remained quiet until the evening of the second day. But when all of them had stopped consoling me, or encouraging me to be quiet, I got up in the night and fled, and I came to this field, as you see. And now I intend not to return to the town, but to stay here. I will neither eat nor drink, but will mourn and fast continually until I die." So this is a sudden departure from the first three visions where the angel had appeared, and it signals a shift in tone. It is now the woman who mourns and fasts like Ezra did in the first three visions. Let's go on to verse 5. "Then I broke off the reflections with which I was still engaged and answered her in anger and said, 'You most foolish of women, do you not see our mourning and what has happened to us? For Zion, the mother of us all, is in deep grief and great distress. It is most appropriate to mourn now, because we are all mourning, and to be sorrowful, because we are all sorrowing. You are sorrowing for one son. Now ask the earth, and she will tell you that it is she who ought to mourn over so many who have come into being upon her. From the beginning, all have been born of her, and others will come. And behold, almost all walk to perdition, and a multitude of them will come to doom. Who then ought to mourn the more, she who has lost so great a multitude, or you who are grieving for one alone? But if you say to me, my lamentations is not like the earth's, for I have lost the fruit of my womb, which I brought forth in pain and bore in sorrow, but it is with the earth according to the way of the earth. The multitude that is now in it goes as it came. Then I say to you, just as you brought forth in sorrow, so the earth also has from the beginning given her fruit, that is, humankind, to him who made her. Now therefore keep your sorrow to yourself, and bear bravely the troubles that have come upon you. For if you acknowledge the decree of God to be just, you will receive your son back in due time, and will be praised among women. Therefore, go into the town to your husband." Here Ezra tries to convince the woman of the relative insignificance of her own sorrows in relation to the broader concerns of the whole world, just as the angel had done with Ezra in earlier visions. In verse 16, Ezra encourages her to acknowledge the decree of God to be just. You will receive your son back in due time. This sounds a lot like what the angel tried to get Ezra to do. Perhaps receiving your son back in due time refers to the resurrection. We go on with verse 18. "She said to me, I will not do so. I will not go into the city, but I will die here. So I spoke again to her and said, do not do that, but let yourself be persuaded. For how many are the adversities of Zion? And be consoled because of the sorrow of Jerusalem. For you see how our sanctuary has been laid waste, our altar thrown down, our temple destroyed. Our harp has been laid low, our song has been silenced, and our rejoicing has been ended. The light of our lampstand has been put out. The ark of our covenant has been plundered. Our holy things have been polluted. The name by which we are called has been almost profaned. Our children have suffered abuse. Our priests have been burned to death. Our Levites have gone into exile. Our virgins have been defiled, and our wives have been ravished. Our righteous men have been carried off. Our little ones have been cast out. Our young men have been enslaved, and our strong men made powerless. And worst of all, the seal of Zion has been deprived of its glory and given over into the hands of those who hate us. Therefore, shake off your great sadness and lay aside your many sorrows, so that the Mighty One may be merciful to you again, and the Most High may give you a respite from your troubles. The words of Ezra's reply to the woman reveal once again how deeply affected the author of Second Esdras 3 through 14 was at the fall of Jerusalem in 70 CE, and it seems to be largely in response to that event that Second Esdras 3 through 14 was written. It's important to observe that despite his continued grief, Ezra no longer blames God for these events. Ezra is now prepared to accept the reality of what has happened and the justice of God's dealings in this matter. So we go on to verse 25. While I was talking to her, Her face suddenly began to shine exceedingly. Her countenance flashed like lightning, so that I was too frightened to approach her, and my heart was terrified. While I was wondering what this meant, she suddenly uttered a loud and fearful cry, so that the earth shook at the sound. When I looked up, the woman was no longer visible to me, but a city was being built, and a place of huge foundations showed itself. I was afraid and cried with a loud voice and said, "Where is the angel Uriel who came to me at first? For it was he who brought me into this overpowering bewilderment. My end has become corruption, and my prayer a reproach." The woman is dramatically transformed into a city. Ezra cannot understand the vision and feels that his prayer has been ignored. He doesn't realize the vision is in fact an answer to his prayer. Let's go on to verse 29. While I was speaking these words, the angel who had come to me at first came to me. And when he saw me lying there like a corpse, deprived of my understanding, he grasped my right hand and strengthened me and set me on my feet and said to me, "What is the matter with you? Why are you troubled? And why are your understanding and the thoughts of your mind troubled?" I said, "It was because you abandoned me. I did as you directed me and went into the field, and behold, what I have seen and can still see, I am unable to explain." He said to me, "Stand up like a man, and I will instruct you." I said, "Speak, my Lord, only do not forsake me, so that I may not die before my time. For I have seen what I did not know, and I hear what I do not understand. Or is my mind deceived by my soul dreaming? Now therefore I beg you to give your servant an explanation of this bewildering vision." In response to his appeal, Uriel comes to Ezra and revives him. Ezra asks to be told the meaning of his vision. Collapse on the ground and revival by an angel are traditional elements of an apocalyptic vision. Daniel 8 and Daniel 10 and Revelation 1 all include this literary element. So we begin with verse 38, where we hear an interpretation by Uriel. He answered me and said, "Listen to me, and I will teach you and tell you about the things that you fear. For the Most High has revealed many secrets to you. He has seen your righteous conduct, and that you have sorrowed continually for your people and mourned greatly over Zion. This, therefore, is the meaning of the vision. The woman who appeared to you a little while ago, whom you saw mourning and whom you began to console, you do not now see the form of a woman, but there appeared to you a city being built. And who told you about the misfortune of her son? This is the interpretation. The woman whom you saw is Zion, which you now behold as a city being built. And as for her telling you that she was barren for 30 years, the reason is that there were 3,000 years in the world before any offering was offered in it. And after 3,000 years, Solomon built the city and offered the offerings. Then it was that the barren woman bore a son. And as for her telling you that she brought him up with much care, that was the period of residence in Jerusalem. And as for her saying to you, my son died as he entered his wedding chamber, and that misfortune had overtaken her, this was the destruction that befell Jerusalem. So you saw her likeness, how she mourned for her son, and you began to console her for what had happened. For now the Most High, seeing that you are sincerely grieved and profoundly distressed for her, has shown you the brilliance of her glory and the loveliness of her beauty. Therefore I told you to remain in the field where no house had been built, for I knew that the Most High would reveal these things to you. Therefore I told you to go into the field where there was no foundation of any building, because no work of human construction could endure in a place where the city of the Most High was to be revealed. The interpretation of the vision given by Uriel is not completely straightforward, but the main point seems fairly clear. Since the woman is identified as Zion, but the birth and death of the son correspond to the building and destruction of Jerusalem, it is now generally argued that the mother is the heavenly Jerusalem and the son the earthly Jerusalem. The heavenly Jerusalem belongs to the age to come, but at the same time, thought of as being already in existence. Ezra's complaint about the fate of Israel is therefore answered by a revelation of the New Jerusalem. The earthly Jerusalem was destroyed, but this was not the end. The heavenly Jerusalem was waiting, ready to take its place in the age to come. Verse 55 to the end of the chapter. Therefore, do not be afraid, and do not let your heart be terrified, but go in and see the splendor and the vastness of the building, as far as it is possible for your eyes to see it. And afterward you will hear as much as your ears can hear. For you are more blessed than many, and you have been called to be with the Most High, as few have been. But tomorrow night you shall remain here, and the Most High will show you in those dream visions what the Most High will do to those who inhabit the earth in the last days. So I slept that night, and the following one, as he had told me. These words imply that what was seen and heard in the vision could not adequately be comprehended by a mere human being. The command to enter the city implies that the city is thought of as still being present before Ezra. Finally, Ezra is commanded to wait for a further revelation, but this time for no obvious reason. The regular pattern has been broken here. He is to wait only 2 nights, not a week, and there is no reference to fasting or to eat only what is grown in the field. The 2 visions to come will describe when and how the end will come. We now go on to chapter 11. Next will be a vision of the eagle, and then a vision of a lion. Chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. On the second night I had a dream. I saw rising from the sea an eagle that had 12 feathered wings and 3 heads. I saw it spread its wings over the whole earth, and all the winds of heaven blew upon it, and the clouds were gathered around it. I saw that out of its wings there grew opposing wings, but they became little puny wings. But its heads were at rest, and the middle head was larger than the other heads, but it too was at rest with them. Then I saw that the eagle flew with its wings, and it reigned over the earth and over those who inhabit it. And I saw how all the things under heaven were subjected to it, and no one spoke against it, not a single creature that was on the earth. Then I saw the eagle rise upon its talons, and it uttered a cry to its wings, saying, "Do not all watch at the same time. Let each sleep in its own place, and watch in its turn. But then the heads be reserved for the last." In a dream vision, Ezra sees a monstrous creature rising from the sea, an eagle with 12 wings, 8 rival wings, and 3 heads. The eagle was appropriate as a symbol of Rome, inasmuch as it was a Roman military emblem. The beast which rises out of the sea in Revelation is also a symbol of Rome. So let's go on with with the vision in verse 10. I looked again and saw that the voice did not come from the heads, but from the middle of the body. I counted its rival wings, and there were 8 of them. As I watched, one wing on the right side rose up, and it reigned over all the earth. And after a time its reign came to an end, and it disappeared, so that even its place was no longer visible. Then the next wing rose up and reigned, and it continued to reign a long time. While it was reigning, its end came also, so that it disappeared like the first. And a voice sounded, saying to it, "Listen to me, you who have ruled in earth all this time. I announce this to you before you disappear. After you, no one shall rule as long as you have ruled, not even half as long." Then the third wing raised itself up and held the rule as the earlier ones had done, and it also disappeared. And so it went with all the wings. They wielded power one after another. Then they were never seen again. I kept looking, and in due time the wings that followed rose up on the right side in order to rule. There were some of them that ruled yet disappeared suddenly, and others of them rose up but did not hold the rule. And after this I looked and saw that the 12 wings and the 2 little wings had disappeared, and nothing remained on the eagle's body except the 3 heads that were at rest and the 6 little wings. If you're keeping track, this is the fifth vision. The wings and the heads rule over the earth in turn and then disappear until when only 3 heads and 6 little wings were left. All the wings come into power in succession and in turn disappear. The first 2 wings represent Julius Caesar and Augustus, and the 3 heads represent Vespasian, Titus, and Domitian, the Roman emperors. So let's go on with verses 24 to 35. As I kept looking, I saw that the 2 little wings separated from the 6 and remained under the head that was on the right side, but 4 remained in their place. Then I saw that these little wings planned to set themselves up and hold the rule. As I kept looking, one was set up but suddenly disappeared. A second also, and this disappeared more quickly than the first. While I continued to look, the 2 that remained were planning between themselves to reign together. And while they were planning, one of the heads at rest, the one that was in the middle, suddenly awoke. It was greater than the other 2 heads. And I saw how it allied the 2 heads with itself, and how the head turned with those that were with it, and devoured the 2 little wings that were planning to reign. Moreover, this head gained control of the whole earth, and with much oppression dominated its inhabitants. It had greater power over the world than all the wings that had gone before. After this I looked again and saw the head in the middle suddenly disappear, just as the wings had done. But the 2 heads remained, which also in like manner ruled over the earth and its inhabitants. And while I looked, I saw the head on the right side devour the one on the left. Verse 32 refers to oppressive rule, probably that of Emperor Vespasian, who ruled from 69 to 79 CE. The author's attitude toward Vespasian was no doubt influenced by the measures taken against the Jews in the aftermath of the Jewish war by Vespasian. In verse 35, we're told that the head on the right devoured the one on the left. According to rumor, the death of Titus was supposed to have been brought about by Domitian. So let's do verse 36 through the end of the chapter. Then I heard a voice saying to me, "Look in front of you and consider what you see." When I looked, I saw what seemed to be a lion roused from the forest roaring, and I heard how it uttered a human voice to the eagle and spoke, saying, "Listen, and I will speak to you. The Most High says to you, are you not the one that remains of the 4 beasts that I had made to reign in my world, so that the end of my time might come through them? You, the 4th that has come, have conquered all the beasts that have gone before, and you have held sway over the world with great terror and over all the earth with grievous oppression. And for so long as you have lived on the earth with deceit, you have judged the earth but not with truth. For you have oppressed the meek and injured the peaceable. You have hated those who tell the truth and have loved liars. You have destroyed the homes of those who brought forth fruit and have laid low the walls of those who do no harm. Your insolence has come up before the Most High, and your pride in the Mighty One. The Most High has looked at his times. Now they have ended, and his ages have reached completion. Therefore you, eagle, will surely disappear. You and your terrifying wings, your most evil little wings, your malicious heads, your most evil talons, and your whole worthless body, so that the whole earth, freed from your violence, may be refreshed and relieved and may hope for the judgment and mercy of him who made it. A lion appears, which will ultimately be identified with the Messiah. The symbolism probably goes back to Genesis 49:8, where the Messiah is described as the lion from the tribe of Judah. The Romans are accused of ruling with cruelty and injustice, and we will see the end of the Roman Empire in accordance with God's plan. So we go on to chapter 12, verses 1 through 3, and more adventures with the lion, and we also get our official interpretation. So chapter 12. While the lion was saying these words to the eagle, I looked, and I saw the remaining head had disappeared. The 2 wings that had gone over to it rose up and set themselves up to reign, and the reign was brief and full of tumult. When I looked again, they were already vanishing. The whole body of the eagle was burned, and the earth was exceedingly terrified. The remaining head of the eagle has disappeared, and its whole body burned. Rome has been destroyed. So let's go on to the last half of verse 3. Then I woke up in great perplexity of mind and great fear. And I said to my spirit, you have brought this upon me because you search out the ways of the Most High. I am still weary in mind and very weak in my spirit, and not even a little strength is left in me because of the great fear with which I have been terrified tonight. Therefore I will now entreat the Most High, that he may strengthen me to the end. Then I said, O sovereign Lord, if I have found favor in your sight, and I have been accounted righteous before you, beyond many others, and if my prayer has indeed come up before your face, strengthen me and show me, your servant, the interpretation and meaning of this terrifying vision, so that you may fully comfort my soul, for you have judged me worthy to be shown the end of times and the last events of the times. Ezra wakes up in terror and prays to God to be shown the meaning of this vision. Again, these are common motifs in visions of this kind. So let's go to verse 10. He said to me, this is the interpretation of this vision that you have seen. The eagle that you saw coming up from the sea is the fourth kingdom that appeared in a vision to your brother Daniel. But it was not explained to him, as I now explain it to you, or have explained it. The days are coming when a kingdom shall rise on earth, and it shall be more terrifying than all the kingdoms that have been before it. And 12 kings shall reign in it, one after another. But the second that is to reign shall hold sway for a longer time than any other one of the 12. This is the interpretation of the 12 wings that you saw. As for your hearing a voice that spoke coming not from the eagle's heads, but from the midst of its body, this is the interpretation. In the midst of the time of the kingdom, great struggle shall arise, and it shall be in danger of falling. Nevertheless, it shall not fall then, but shall regain its former power. As for your seeing 8 little wings clinging to its wings, this is the interpretation. 8 kings shall rise in it, whose times shall be short, and their years swift. 2 of them shall perish while the middle of its time draws near, and 4 shall be kept for the time when its end approaches, but 2 shall be kept until the end. As for your seeing 3 heads at rest, this is the interpretation. In its last days the Most High will raise up 3 kings, and they shall renew many things in it, and shall rule the earth, and its inhabitants more oppressively than all who were before them. Therefore they are called the heads of the eagle, because it is they who shall sum up his wickedness and perform his last actions. As for your seeing that the large head disappeared, one of the kings shall die in his bed, but in agonies. But as for the 2 who remain, the sword shall devour them. For the sword of one shall devour him who was with him, but he also shall fall by the sword in the last days. The interpretation is given in language that is indirect in character and in some respects no clearer than the vision itself, although no doubt the author's contemporaries understood exactly what he meant. The 4th kingdom in the book of Daniel referred to the Seleucid kingdom of Antiochus IV Epiphanes in the 2nd century BCE. Here it clearly refers to Rome. Let's go on with verse 29. As for your seeing 2 little wings passing over the head that was on the right side, this is the interpretation. It is these whom the Most High has kept for the eagle's end. This was the reign that was brief and full of tumult, as you have seen. And as for the lion whom you saw rousing up out of the forest and roaring and speaking to the eagle and reproving him for his unrighteousness, and as for all his words that you have heard, this is the Messiah, whom the Most High has kept until the end of days, who will arise from the offspring of David and will come and speak with them. He will denounce them for their ungodliness and for their wickedness, and will display before them their contemptuous dealings. For first he will bring them alive before his judgment seat, and when he has reproved them, then he will destroy them. But in mercy he will set free the remnant of my people, those who have been saved throughout my borders, and he will make them joyful until the end comes, the day of judgment of which I spoke to you at the beginning. This is the dream that you saw, and this is the interpretation. And you alone are worthy to learn the secret of the Most High. Therefore write all these things that you have seen in a book, put it in a hidden place, and you shall teach them to the wise among your people, whose hearts you know are able to comprehend and keep these secrets. But as for you, you wait here 7 days more, so that you may be shown whatever it pleases the Most High to show you. Then he left me. The two little wings in verses 29 and 30 have not been convincingly identified completely. Their death lies in the future for the author. Titus and Domitian were likely still living at the time that this was written, so it could be them. The lion is identified as the Messiah in this section. At the end of this section, Ezra is told to stay where he is for 7 more days, verse 40 to the end of the chapter. When all the people heard that the 7 days were past, and I had not returned to the city, they all gathered together from the least to the greatest, and came to me and spoke to me, saying, How have we offended you, and what harm have we done to you, that you have forsaken us and sit in this place? For all the prophets, you alone are left to us, like a cluster of grapes from the vintage, and like a lamp in a dark place, and like a haven for a ship saved from a storm. Are not the disasters that have befallen us enough? Therefore, if you forsake us, how much better it would have been for us if also we had been consumed in the burning of Zion. For we are no better than those who died there. And they wept with a loud voice. Then I answered them and said, Take courage, O Israel, and do not be sorrowful, O house of Jacob, for the Most High has you in remembrance, and the Mighty One has not forgotten you in your struggle. As for me, I have neither forsaken you nor withdrawn from you, but I have come to this place to pray on account of the desolation of Zion, and to seek mercy on account of the humiliation of our sanctuary. Now go to your homes, every one of you, and after these days I will come to you. So the people went to the city as I told them to do. But I sat in the field 7 days as the angel had commanded me, and I ate only of the flowers of the field, and plants were my food, plants, during those days. So the people came to Ezra to complain that he had abandoned them. He assures them that they have neither been forgotten by God nor abandoned by him. He tells them to go home. We notice that his statement here is in striking contrast to his earlier complaints with God's dealing with Israel, where he felt God had abandoned his people. So the people went back to the city, and Ezra stayed in the field 7 more days. In our next session, we will see more visions and interpretations. In the final section of 4th Ezra, that is in chapters 14, Ezra is told how to prepare for the end of his life. We will have the writing of his sacred books. We read and discuss chapters 13 and 14. If you're not yet signed up for the Zoom discussion session, you can send an email to online.classes@northgateumc.org, and we will send you the link. In the meantime, have a good week.